So, Mark, did you see what someone did to the Vegas street art that sits off the freeway at Eastern and 215? Usually it's like a head, but somebody added some interesting eyes to it and some earrings. I think it's now the most Vegas street art ever.
Yeah, though I don't remember googly eyes that big in, third grade art class when you were playing with the pipe cleaner and Elmer's glue, but those are pretty massive. I don't understand, and I know this isn't just a Vegas thing, but I don't understand the need to put like art and monuments and stuff when they redo ramps onto highways and interstates and all that stuff. Like, don't we have enough money getting wasted on things that we don't need just heads for people to crash into?
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy because this was installed, I think, in 2017. Then in 2020, somebody ran off the road and basically broke it, knocked it completely over. And then now somebody decided to kind of spruce it up. But if those eyes don't say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, I don't know what does.
That person was just trying to do a public service and they didn't listen.
All right, Mark, let's get into it. So one of the interesting things for gamblers is that when you hit a jackpot on a slot machine that's over $1,200 or $1,200 or more, then you get a W-2G form. And this number has been the same basically since the late 1970s. And there's been different kind of proposals to up that to 5,000, 6,000. But that hasn't happened. So if you hit a $1,200 or more jackpot, you're going to get hit with a W-2G. But one manufacturer has found a way around this. There's this new slot machine in downtown right now at Golden Gate that Vital Vegas has covered. And he wrote about it. And then interesting enough, he hit a bonus on it later in the day and won $10,000. So how does this sort of avoid the W-2G? Well, when you hit the bonus, you then get 10 spins, or it depends on how much you've bet, but you get a number of spins, but you still have to bet 1 credit for each of those bonus spins. And you do have a 1 in 1,000 chance of losing on each bonus spin, but you're almost guaranteed to win. And because each spin you're paying for it and it's separate, now you don't have to get taxed on the jackpot. And he tested it out, won $10,000. Is this brilliant? Is this going to be something the IRS comes after?
So everybody go play and you're guaranteed to win 10,000. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is interesting. And I applaud the company for coming up with something a little bit outside the box to get around this. And I've always wondered, the slot, $1,200, you can go to a table and win 10,000 and they don't say anything. So it just seems stupid that the limits are so low on slots and kind of annoying. Like, you almost don't want to win you want to win $1,100, so you don't have to mess with all that. So this is pretty cool that you win $10,000, maybe even more, and you're not dealing with all that paperwork. Now, technically, you're supposed to claim all this as winnings if you win at the end of the year, but it's kind of funny that they got the workaround going, and I wonder if anybody else will do it or if they'll crack down on it or how it'll play out.
Yeah, the game is called Double Jackpot Blazing Sevens with Quick Hit, high limit edition. And, I think it's the cheapest bet's $5, but I mean, it seems to fall within the spirit of the rules. When you get the bonus spins, you're still betting on each spin and, there is a chance to lose. So it does seem like it falls within the rules for each spin being separate. And so I don't know. It's interesting. I found that it was really coincidental. And congratulations to Scott, that Vital Vegas, that he wrote about this and then he hit the jackpot or hit that bonus later in the same day. So I guess it's all proven now that you can do it, no W-2G. What other things will they come up with? But they really do need to up this limit. $1,200 is nothing. I think it was 1977, Mark, when they came up with that number. So times have changed a little bit. And
how much were eggs back in 1977? Like 12 cents? Come on.
And it sucks as a gambler too, because you get stopped for the hand pay, and depending on the casino you're in, it could take a long time. I've seen jackpots take 45 minutes or more to get paid, especially on a busy night. Thankfully, like places like Cosmo now, they have like automated where, your stuff is in the system, and so it just generates it without having to do a full hand pay. So you just kind of accept it on the player's card thing. So technology is helping out a lot, but $1,200 in 1977 is about $6,000 today. So yeah, probably time to move on from this, but good to see that they found a technological way to get around it. Looks like a fun slot machine, and go out there and do it. So Mark, did you hear about Dropicana? What is this thing about like naming big freeway projects? I think Southern California had a bunch of this stuff in the last couple of years where they had these names of these huge projects. Well, Tropicana and I-15, that whole interchange is being redeveloped, redesigned, And it's going to cause some really ugliness, I think, in Vegas, not only at the end of this month, but basically for the next year and a half as they widen things, rebuild bridges. And it's going to start when they're going to close traffic in both directions on Tropicana between Dean Martin and New York, New York. Parts of the freeway will be completely closed. And they're going to be tearing down like the flyover bridge going to Tropicana East. I think that's going to be closed for 18 months. And some of the other exits closed for 12 to 18 months. So this is a huge development that's going to kind of start at the end of this month. Well, it's already started. There's a lot of construction already happening, but it's going to be a mess and not going to get better anytime soon. I guess the hope is that this will be better for sports events, and that interchange really does need some help.
Yeah, we were talking before the show, and I'm just surprised that they didn't really do this at the time that they're building the stadium and all that, kind of like do it together so that when the stadium opened, it was all ready to go and weren't having this as much issue with traffic and stuff. But anytime a major system gets rehabilitated or construction happens, it's a pain. And then you got Formula One coming in and all this craziness. Oh, man. Avoid it if you can. The big question is, what type of statue are they going to put at the end of it?
Oh, we're going to get some beautiful art, whether it's desert turtles or coyotes or something. I don't know.
Chris Angel statue. Put it up. Let's go.
I think so. I think it's time, right? I mean, we absolutely need it. Hopefully nobody runs it off the road.
We got to start a GoFundMe. Get it built.
Yeah. There you go. So there are some interesting things with this. There will be a new pedestrian walkway added between Tropicana and Arena Drive for access to the T-Mobile Arena. So I didn't realize there was a big deal for that for people across the freeway. I think that's what they're referring to. So that's going to happen. There'll also be a HOV half interchange at Harmon. So there are some other things here, but it's going to be ugly for a while. More turn lanes. Basically, this intersection is just overloaded, and adding Allegiant Stadium not far from there. Obviously, T-Mobile Arena added within the last decade. A lot of stuff added, and they just need more space. So everything getting rebuilt from the bridges to the interchange to everything, and it's going to be ugly. So let's talk food for a minute, and there's a few updates we have. Siegel's Bagel Mania just recently hosted an eating contest for National Bagel Day, I guess it was. I should have known that. I feel bad as such a bagel enthusiast for not knowing it was National Bagel Day yesterday. But they held it. They had people from all over, $7,500 cash prize. And Jeffrey Esper won by eating 17.75 bagels in 8 minutes. That is a new bagel world record. So yeah, the center, not New York, the center of bagel action. It's all happening here in Vegas.
Need to get Joey Chestnut over to compete in this. But no, I couldn't imagine eating 17, 18 bagels. After like 3, I'm stuffed for a day. So I don't know what you do after. Like, where do you go after you had 18 to celebrate $7,500?
Yeah, it had to hurt, right? I mean, in 8 minutes, so it's
gonna hurt for a couple days.
Yeah, just all that bread sitting in your stomach. All right, so let's move on. Some other news. Shaq's Big Chicken opened its second location in Las Vegas. And I had tried this on the Carnival cruise ship. Pretty good chicken sandwich. I think their first ever location was in Las Vegas over off of Paradise. But they're now open in the Southwest at Trop in Fort Apache. What was interesting about this that I learned is that they have over 150 locations either open or in development right now. So Shaq's Big Chicken is expanding like crazy. Probably worth a try if you haven't tried it. I wouldn't say it's the best chicken sandwich ever, but really solid.
No, it's cool to see expanding and something new to get into the chicken craze. We see Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, KFC, all that stuff. So it's fun to see something new and, something different. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. Hopefully it ends up in a food hall at some point. That's when you made it, Shawn, when you're in a food hall.
All right, one last food story. Radio guy Steve put this together. I saw for Pennies for Vegas on Twitter. Prime rib specials for January of 23 in Las Vegas. All the best specials around town. And seeing this list was a reminder that there really isn't anything cheap anymore. Although Fremont and the Tony Roma's there still has that 4:30 to 6:30, the prime rib special for $9. So that's probably the best special in town. It's decent. It's not the greatest prime rib in the world, but I have had it. But other than that, you're starting to jump up to $17, $20, $30, $40 for prime rib specials. What happened to the old days of like $4.99?
Yeah, my wife used to love to go to Hooters back when it was Hooters. And what was the Dan Marino restaurant, like the Mad Onion or something like that in there? And they had a really good prime rib special for like $12, $11. So we'd always go there each time. And I know you just went to South Point not too long ago and said it's not quite as good, or at least the night you were there, not quite as good as it has been in the past. So that's kind of sad to see.
Yeah, South Point's interesting. They're like half the entries on this list between their coffee shop and their prime rib restaurant and everything else, their buffet too. So I guess South Point is the prime rib place. Like I said, primarily prime rib. Used to be one of my favorites. Our last visit wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. And the prices are still really good. And you get that table side tossed salad, Mark. So that's still up there on my list.
It is fun. Tableside stuff's fun. I mean, the smashed potato at Martha Stewart's place being the one thing I wouldn't do, but no, tableside carving or salad or anything like that is always a good time.
So let's talk about building maintenance. I saw this tweet talking about that Paris balloon outside Paris, Las Vegas, kind of showing some of the wear and tear on that, even neon burnt out at night. And, we talk about all this investment coming to Las Vegas, but one of the side effects of corporate Las Vegas, I think, especially as it's matured, is that we're seeing like a lack of building maintenance in some areas, especially with Caesars properties like Planet Hollywood. The paint is peeling off, some of the banners are peeling off. Paris, we see other issues. Rio, famously, they've just let that building kind of go to hell, basically. So are we going to continue to see this?
HE double hockey sticks, please. For the kids.
So are we going to see this continue where we don't see the investment in the properties? There's been some anecdotal evidence of like the rooms at Cosmo kind of feeling run down now. I don't really blame MGM for that. They haven't owned it long enough. And, I stayed at Cosmo a couple months ago. The room was pristine. But one area that you can really cut back is building maintenance, especially when you're trying to make those quarterly earnings and things like that. Is this just like an aberration, or is this something that we're going to continue to see?
I think it's going to be this way for a while. And the sad thing is they're making, all-time highs in revenue and in profit and everything. So now would be the time to reinvest if you were going to, and it just doesn't seem like they're interested in it at all. So I don't know. I don't know when that turns, when maybe enough people complain or stop going that they're like, hey, maybe we need to redo some of this stuff. But it's sad to see Caesars over the last 10 years, what they've done to their program and to their properties. And they've been focusing more on updating rooms, and maybe that's where the money's going. We do see a lot of remodeling in rooms, which is where people spend more of their time. But yeah, you want your people coming to Vegas for the first time and they're seeing this all for the first time. You want that to be a good look to draw them in. So you'd like to see the outside stuff updated too.
It's a good point. Caesars has spent a lot of money updating the rooms across almost all their properties in Vegas over the last 5-7 years. They've just embarked on that big renovation of Caesars Palace, so they've redone a lot of the lobby and a lot of the stuff there. Harrah's, they just finished a big renovation of the casino. So there has definitely been investment. Other properties like Flamingo are just sort of withering on the vine. And, you do have these external sort of building maintenance issues. So, I guess on one hand, you can't really blame Caesars. Also, you have the Horseshoe transition where that building's getting paint and a lot of stuff. So they are spending money. It just seems like maybe they have a lot to spend and they got to figure out how to kind of divvy that up. But it's not a good look, especially for something like that balloon at Paris, which is an iconic part of it. Throw some paint on there, fix the neon, make it better. Hopefully Formula One coming to Vegas later this year will mean that everything gets freshened up, as it's going to get so much TV time. So we'll hope for that, but not a good look right now.
Yeah, and so much money is coming in too, this wasn't on the show notes, but a buddy sent it to me. AAA, some people had booked hotels through AAA to stay in Vegas, and this was before they announced the Formula One dates. And they've come back and said, hey, we can't honor those anymore. We'll either give you $700 cash or you have to pay $2,000 more, type of thing, which is insane. I don't even know how this can happen, but I think we're going to hear more and more stories like this as it gets closer and prices keep skyrocketing.
Yeah, that's a shame because the hotels are getting their, they're having their cake and they want their cake to eat it too, right? I mean, you're going to get these high rates for the rooms you didn't have booked. Why would you do this to people who already booked ahead of time? It's not cool. On one hand, getting $700 might be nice, but honor the hotel reservations.
I'll take it.
And just go a different weekend because it's going to be a mess unless he's planning on going to the race itself. But yeah, that does stink. All right. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is that Lunar New Year has arrived in Las Vegas. And, I think this is one of the things that Vegas does best, especially when comparing to other kind of cities, I guess, in the US. We do a really good job of celebrating Lunar New Year. And of course, it's celebrated all over the country, all over the world. But you get these really big, grand displays in Las Vegas. And I was staying at Palazzo last week, and Venetian and Palazzo have a ton of stuff up. It's the year of the rabbit, which is apparently one of the luckiest years to be born. And there's rabbits everywhere. The Venetian Palazzo really enjoyed their display, but of course Bellagio took it to the next level, and it's another incredible display there. And you know, I feel like Bellagio Conservatory is one of the most hyped things to do in Las Vegas, but time and time again, as we've joked about, I go in there and I'm impressed. And this time I got to visit at night, which was really nice. I always forget how beautiful it really looks in there at night because usually I'm there during the day, and that's a whole other vibe. If you want to go visit, go do it at night where you have all the lighting and you get more of that kind of mood and atmosphere. It's looking really good. Another successful Lunar New Year display for Bellagio, and I'm sure Wynn also has a good one as well.
Yeah, it's always fun to see, and I love the Lunar New Year, like the displays, the Asian theme, and all of that. And when you were there at night, did you see anybody eating in the exclusive Bellagio table overlooking the garden?
No, no one was eating there. It was pretty busy in there, but nobody was eating at that special table. So I wonder how well that's doing. I wonder how it was very expensive. So I'm sure there's people taking them up on it.
I want to see somebody up there just once.
But it was beautiful. And MGM is going to do some really cool stuff for Lunar New Year. They're having dragon and lion dances to commemorate the year of the rabbit. Aria on January 27th is going to have it at the main valet. Bellagio on January 28th at the main valet. MGM Grand on January 28th at the main porte-cochere. And then at Cosmo at 1 p.m. on January 29th. So they're going to have all throughout that weekend, you're going to have dances and festivities, plus you have the displays. So it's a fun time to be in Las Vegas. We do Lunar New Year right, I think.
As most holidays, Vegas usually goes all out, so you can't complain about that.
No, you can't complain about that at all. And we want to know what you guys think. Let us know about anything we've talked about in this show, whether it's Lunar New Year displays or the 15 getting torn up at Tropicana, running over street art. Do you like these sculptures that they put on the side of freeways?
Nobody
All
does.
of that stuff. Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to discuss it with you. If you haven't subscribed yet, 4 out of 5 people who watch our videos have not subscribed. So we would love for you to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you receive notifications of all of our videos. We do 2 videos a week. We'll see you back here in just a few days. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
See you on Friday.